With the national vaccine rollout now operational, you might have some basic and not so basic questions ahead of your turn to get the jab. We put some of those questions to Dr. Sinead Fitzpatrick of Fitzpatrick Medical Centre in Waterford City. First things first, what's in the vaccine?
So I suppose the two ones that are being used or most commonly in Ireland at the moment, one is an mRNA vaccine and the other one then is what we call a viral vector vaccine. And basically, I suppose the aim of both of them is the same. They're basically delivering a message to the body, to the cells, that's going to enable our immune system to mount a response against COVID. So the mRNA one contains a little molecule called mRNA, which goes into the cell, and as I said, basically delivers a message. And once the cells identify, it makes this so-called spike protein. So once it makes that spike protein, it enables then our own immune system to realize, okay, there's something different here. This is a foreign molecule. I need to protect myself against it. So our immune system then will create antibodies and T cells and these type of things to mount a response against it. What happens then is that the mRNA or the little messenger molecule will just disintegrate, and your own immune system is left with this memory. So if down the line you come in contact with the coronavirus or the COVID virus, your immune system will then be in a position to recognize it and to mount a response really, really quickly.
Dr. Fitzpatrick has this reassurance.
Needlephobia it's a lot more common than people realise. People always come into us and think they're the only person, that feels like this and they're embarrassed to say it. The first thing I would say is always tell the doctor, the nurse, whoever is giving your vaccine. It's quite a small needle, like the dose itself in the Pfizer that we're giving is 0.3 of a mil, so it's very, very small, and as a result the needle is quite small as well. So I suppose I would often say to people, like the teeny tiny needles that we use for the teeny tiny babies, it's similar to that.
Could any delay in getting the second affect efficacy?
Your bang for your buck or your big benefit to getting the vaccination is after the second one. So if somebody gets the first dose and kind of thinks, oh look, yeah, I'm grand, I've got the first dose, I can leave that or I won't bother getting it, you're only getting about 50 to 60% efficacy of it. About a week after the second dose is when you've got about 90-95% immunity and effectiveness of the vaccine. So I don't necessarily think that there's a reduced efficacy to extending that, but you're just putting yourself at risk still of catching the illness if you leave it too long.
Here's why you shouldn't consider skipping the vaccine altogether.
In my experience as a GP, I certainly have 3 young patients who would have otherwise, up to now been absolutely fit and healthy and unfortunately developed COVID infection. Some of them weren't very sick at the time, but now they've gone on and they're suffering with this so-called long COVID, which is basically a form of COVID where 2, 3, 4 months down the line, when the infection has long since passed, you're left with these residual symptoms. And, some of those young people are really, really, suffering as a result of that. They're not able to go to school, they're not able to go to work. And that would be, I suppose, one big reason I would see for definitely going ahead and getting the vaccine. There are kind of 4 groups being vaccinated at the moment. That those people in nursing homes, long-term care, are over 70s. So what's happening there is that those patients are actually being called and given an appointment, or the National Ambulance Service are going to nursing homes and doing the vaccines there. What's going to happen further down the line is very different. So there are 2 more groups that are going to be vaccinated by GPs. They're what we call the very high risk of serious illness and the high risk of serious illness. And again, they're going to be called into their GPs. After that, it's going to be rolled out on an age basis. So the next group after those high risk groups will be the age 65 to 69. They're all going to be done, and the ages below that in the max vaccination centres. So I know here in Waterford, that's in WIT. And what's going to happen is there'll just be a publicity campaign on the media, all of that type of thing. And you'll be invited to register on an online portal. Again, I'm not sure of the exact way it's working, but I would imagine you're going to have to bring proof of ID and all of that type of thing with you. I know when I got mine, I had to bring photo ID with my PPS number, date of birth, and proof of who I was. And it will be it'll be publicised. I don't think people will miss it, but it's just a little bit of patience at the moment until we work through the categories to get down to your age group.